IL-22 has emerged as one of the gut's unsung molecular heroes, a cytokine produced primarily by innate lymphoid cells, ILC3S, and Th17 cells that plays a critical role in maintaining epithelial integrity, mucosal defense, and microbiota immune crosstalk. Given these roles, it's only natural to ask, could IL-22 also serve as an early warning system? Could this one molecule become a biomarker for gut health, and more ambitiously, for disease risk prediction in conditions ranging from inflammatory bowel disease, IBD, to metabolic syndrome and even autoimmune disorders? Conceptually, IL-22 has all the characteristics you'd want in a gut health biomarker. It's highly localized, responsive to environmental cues, especially diet and microbiota, and its levels rise or fall in tandem with both protective and pathogenic shifts in gut physiology. Under healthy conditions, IL-22 is constitutively expressed at low levels, providing basal support for epithelial regeneration, antimicrobial peptide production like Reg3, and SS defensins, and mucus secretion. When gut integrity is compromised by infection, inflammation, or dietary insults, IL-22 is rapidly upregulated as a frontline defense. Conversely, when IL-22 signaling is chronically suppressed, the gut barrier thins, immune surveillance falters, and microbial translocation becomes a daily occurrence. This dynamic responsiveness makes IL-22 a tempting canary in the coal mine. In preclinical models, declines in IL-22 often precede overt gut pathology. Mice fed high-fat diets, for instance, show reductions in IL-22 production well before they develop obesity or insulin resistance. Similarly, in early-stage colitis models, a drop in IL-22 coincides with microbial dysbiosis and barrier dysfunction even before major tissue damage occurs. In these settings, IL-22 doesn't just reflect gut damage, it forecasts it. In humans, evidence is more fragmentary but growing. Patients with IBD, particularly those with ulcerative colitis, often exhibit dysregulated IL-22 signaling, either with insufficient production during flare-ups or overcompensated expression during chronic inflammation. In metabolic diseases like type 2 diabetes, lower systemic IL-22 levels have been observed, potentially linking impaired mucosal immunity to broader metabolic dysfunction. What's notable is that even in seemingly healthy individuals, IL-22 levels can reflect subtle shifts in dietary quality, fiber intake, or microbial diversity, offering a tantalizing possibility. Could IL-22 serve as a functional readout of gut resilience? The practical catch is where and how you measure it. IL-22 acts locally in the gut, which makes blood levels an imperfect mirror of its true activity. Stool and intestinal biopsy samples provide better insight, but they're less convenient for screening healthy populations. That said, advances in stool-based cytokine assays and even gut-on-a-chip models could make non-invasive IL-22 monitoring feasible in the near future. There's also some early interest in urinary IL-22 as a proxy marker, though the reliability of this method remains uncertain. Still, hurdles remain. IL-22 is a pleiotropic molecule, meaning its effects depend on context. In some situations, elevated IL-22 isn't protective, it's pathological. In certain cancers, IL-22 promotes epithelial proliferation and tumor progression. In chronic autoimmune inflammation, sustained IL-22 signaling may feed into a maladaptive feedback loop, especially if it's decoupled from regulatory countersignals like IL-10 or TGFSS. That means any use of IL-22 as a biomarker would need to be interpreted alongside other immune indicators, not in isolation. So, can IL-22 become a real-world biomarker for gut health? Potentially, yes, with some important caveats. Its local action, immune specificity, and dietary sensitivity make it a strong candidate for early detection of gut barrier dysfunction and immune imbalance. It could be particularly valuable for screening at-risk groups, those with genetic predispositions to IBD, autoimmune disorders, or metabolic syndrome, long before clinical symptoms appear. It could also be used to monitor the effectiveness of dietary or probiotic interventions, functioning as a kind of molecular report card for gut restoration. But for now, it's still more of a research tool than a clinical standard. To reach that next stage, we'll need standardized assays, clear reference ranges, and longitudinal studies to show that tracking IL-22 can actually improve outcomes. Until then, it remains a highly promising, if somewhat elusive, molecular barometer. The potential is there. What's needed next is translation from bench to bedside. Or better yet, from gut to guidelines.